Welcome to the Ship Appreciation Podcast. I'm Kate, this is Jodie, and today we're going to talk about something that nobody really wants to talk about and they don't really want to think about, and that is infidelity. So let's get started and, let's pick apart what's going on in other people's lives, pretty much.
And also probably what's happened in our lives.
Well, it definitely has happened in my life, for sure. I don't think there's many people out there that haven't actually experienced it.
No, I agree with you.
I really don't. It's really, really tough. So whether you're going through it yourself or whether you know somebody else that's going through it at the moment, then hopefully this will give you some guidelines and some peace of mind with whatever way moving forward. So firstly, what does infidelity mean to you?
So me personally, I think it's deception, isn't it? Personally, it's anything to do with deception, anything to do with something that is not honest and not truthful within a relationship. So as soon as somebody starts to message somebody or somebody else or has that physical contact with somebody else, that's how I see it. How about you?
I think definitely, I think the main ones that we all think about are obviously going to be physical infidelity and cheating. Also, there's the emotional infidelity when, like you said, when you're messaging, when you're texting. But there's also like a deeper level of infidelity when you're thinking about it. So it's almost like the beginnings of wanting to go and pursue somebody else within your relationship. I definitely think for the crux of most people that are listening to the podcast, it would be about physical cheating.
Well, that's the end point, isn't it? That's usually when someone discovers that it's been going on. And I think what's really interesting is that if you are the person that is doing that, then there's a space there for you to check in with yourself. So as soon as you have those thoughts, as soon as you start thinking about maybe this is an option, or I want to do this, or there's something in me that is being drawn towards some form of cheating, infidelity, is actually kind of getting curious with yourself as to why you're doing that. What is it? Is it something in your relationship that doesn't feel right, or is it a pattern within yourself that keeps happening in each relationship? Because if that's the case, then it's important that we don't blame continuously the other person for our actions and actually recognise and get curious about why we're doing that, if that's the case.
Yeah. I think discovery is always the most erratic and tricky time when that happens to you. Discovering that somebody that you love and that you trust is being unfaithful is just absolutely catastrophic. And that's the only way that I can describe it, is that it is literally the most physical and emotional pain. I can remember when it happened to me. It's happened to me a couple of times, to be honest with you, but the main one was actually from my first marriage, and it was horrific. And what had been going on, I was absolutely blind to. I was absolutely, completely blindsided. I didn't know that there were definitely changes in personality and changes in character, but the individual that I was with at the time, I would call him husband number one. He unfortunately, or fortunately for him, but unfortunately for me, was in a job where he wasn't at home an awful lot.
Yeah.
So it was really easy for him to keep up that lie and to keep up that deceit, because I wouldn't suspect anything. If he had to be away working for the weekend, it wouldn't even cross my mind.
It wasn't out of the ordinary.
Yeah, absolutely not. And if he had to go away for a week at a time, 2 weeks at a time, it would not even cross my mind. It wasn't out of the ordinary. But there were little indications. There were definitely some personality changes. You're hiding your phone a bit more, or you're carrying it with you wherever you go. I also noticed behaviours in personal hygiene. So more grooming, more going to the gym, more trying to look a certain way. There was also sort of like a passive aggressive indicators as well. So if I would question anything, like, oh, you look really nice, where are you going? It would always be almost like
the
question. What's the
would,
problem with that?
Yeah, the question's wrong, not the fact that he's actually done those things.
He was making me feel like, oh, I shouldn't really be questioning that. That's how silly of me. He actually even spoke about the person that he was having an affair with as if they were a friend.
Wow.
So that it made it feel very normal.
Yeah.
So when he would speak about her, it was like, oh, it's a work colleague. So it was just like a blasé, oh, I saw so-and-so today. She's really struggling at the moment with her marriage. Those types of things. So that if she was in conversation, or if I would maybe seen a phone message or anything pop up from her, I wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah.
It was really, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Especially with infidelity, is that it's the secretiveness, it's the sneaking, it's that sort of underhanded, sly, making sure that you're covering your tracks, those types of things. I think that's kind of what hurt me more than actually him having physical intimacy with somebody else.
Yeah.
It was that level of...
Yeah, feeling like you're so disrespected after so much commitment. So whether it's the timescale you've been together, the commitment with marriage or children or mortgage or whatever, those financial ties, and just feeling like, how could they do that to somebody that they're so...
You're meant to be in love with.
Intertwined with, and you've kind of had that baseline of respect there, and yet it still happened. How did that emotionally affect you? How did it change you?
Oh, for me, my instant go-to was... it's because I'm overweight. It's because I'm not pretty enough. It's because I don't take better care of myself. Those are the initial thoughts that went through my mind. It was never, ever about, oh, God, she must have a better personality than me. She must be more fun than me, because I know that I'm all of those good things.
Yeah.
But historically, because of my past traumas, those are the freaking go-tos. And I think for most women, that is the go-to. It's like, oh, I bet she's prettier than me. She's got bigger boobs than me. Is she younger than me? All of these things, because, as we all know, we're pitted against each other as women anyway.
Yeah.
So that was the go-to. And that absolutely crushed me. It absolutely fucking crushed me. It was just looking at myself in a completely different way. And then that then created this self-hatred of my body.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was like, right, okay, what can I change about myself? I never even thought initially for an instant that he needed to change.
Yeah.
It didn't even cross my mind. It was like, what do I need to do physically so that he would want me and not somebody else?
I find this really interesting because when something happens in our life, it opens up old wounds we didn't know we had. And that wound then becomes so raw. And like you say, then suddenly it's like this self-hatred just has come in, and that's it. I'm now living in this world of I hate myself, and I could be better. I could look better. I could be skinnier. I could have different colour hair, different colour skin, or, a different shaped nose, whatever it might be, whatever the magazine says it should be. And I think it's really interesting because personally, I feel that when something of this nature happens, it opens up a wound that's already there, and it's magnified, and that is really heavy, because it's like it's like being hit around the face, isn't it? It's like someone's just come and hit you around the head with a lump of wood.
All of those shit things that you've ever thought about yourself.
It's like, oh, it must be true.
Magnified. Yeah, it must.
It must be true now. Yeah,
confirmation of what you feel about yourself.
Well, it is, but it isn't. It's like confirmation of how you believe you think about yourself, but it's not actual truth.
Reality.
Yeah.
And that's, I actually found out through phone records, because I got a phone bill that came through. And obviously we had joint accounts with those types of things. And it was a whopping great phone bill. It's like once upon a time when you used to actually get a physical phone bill.
I was going to say, we're going back some time now, aren't we?
We are going back some years. And it was fat. It was really fucking fat. And I was thinking, who the fuck is he phoning?
Yeah, what is
going to
this
be
number?
astronomical.
Same number as well. So what's going on?
So I did. I had underlying feelings, else I wouldn't have gone through private post. Don't get me wrong, I definitely
intuition is crazy, isn't it?
Absolutely. There was just something that I could not put my finger on that just felt off. It just felt off, and I was like, right, I'm just going to have a look, and it was literally the same number over and over and over and over again. And I know, girls, if you're out there and you've had this experience, you and I both know that it is really difficult not to freaking dig and to fucking poke the bear. So I literally went through the phone bill and I phoned that number.
Yeah.
And it was this girl
who
had answered the phone. And it was the girl that he'd been speaking about, who is his friend at work and all those sorts
struggling.
of things. Yeah. And I said, oh, hi, it's so-and-so's wife. And she was like, oh, hi, you. And she literally played it beautifully. She was like, oh, I said, oh, I'm really sorry. I said, I found this number. It's been phoned an awful lot. And I said, I'm just feeling a little bit anxious about it.
Wow.
And she's like, oh, don't worry. She said, and she honestly, she was like, nice as pie. Oh, don't worry about it. We've all had those horrible feelings before. And then the reason I knew that he was definitely 100% having this affair with her was the fact that I hung up the phone from her, and within 10 minutes I had a phone call from him ranting aggressively at me. And I thought,
okay.
now I know for certain, because realistically, if that hadn't have happened, he would have been like,
hey, you okay?
Hey,
like,
what's going
honestly,
on, man? Yeah, but he wasn't. He was super, super aggressive.
Really angry.
And I was like, oh. And then I just asked him. I asked him outright when he got home. I said, are you having an affair with her?
And I suppose this is a great time in the podcast to pivot and find out how you dealt with that, what you chose to do, and what options somebody in that situation has got.
Yeah.
Because there are a few options. I mean, obviously, someone can leave that person. You can forgive them. There's marriage counselling. There's all sorts of things that can happen. But if you want to share, how did you deal with that?
Well, he actually left me. He left me and moved in with this woman who was also married to somebody else. And they literally set up shop. I mean, it got really messy. And I obviously just felt like an absolute worthless piece of shit. And he was just, I don't know, he became almost like so aggressive about it. And I think, to be honest with you, that was his shame and that was his guilt that made him so aggressive.
100%.
I moved back in with my parents for a bit, which again was just absolutely, I think this is a thing that also keeps people in these relationships, is the fact that you have to then think about your home. I mean, luckily we were in a rented home that was with his work, so it was different. But that actually physically stops people from leaving these really damaging relationships, is because they have nowhere to fucking go. They've got nowhere to live. They feel absolutely shit about themselves. Financially, can they afford to do it by themselves, because you've spent these years being in a partnership?
And I think as well, when there's children involved, it gets really tricky, because I think as a woman, because we come from such a maternal, like our maternal instinct comes in, when the children are involved, there's this feeling of, I can't split the family up because he's a good dad, or I can't create that distance because he's an okay dad, or he is there. But actually, that's just more pressure, because it's such a big decision to think, well, hold on, he's done this or she's done this, but in this instance, he's done this. You've now got a decision to make, but it's not just the decision for you as a person, it's the decision for children then.
You as a whole, as a unit, as a family.
Yeah. And it triggers so many more things. Like, quite often then there's the issue between the parents because of the children, not their fault, but because of there's a misunderstanding on how to deal with that. There's playing the children off against each other. Parents,
but you're going to be analysing all of those things in your head. I mean, I was very lucky that we did not have children. We didn't. We had the dog, but we did not have children.
Yeah.
But I knew he was going to try and take the dog, so I took the dog to my parents beforehand. I was smart enough to know that he was going to try and hurt me more, and I couldn't understand why he was trying to hurt me so much. I mean, I remember getting home after we'd taken loads of stuff out of our house, and finding a photograph of us that we got given as a wedding gift that he burnt. Wow. And I'm like, why are you burnt? I've not done anything to you. You've done all this to me. Yeah. That you are destroying things and being so vile.
It's almost like there's a behaviour that happens and then they get found out, and it's the finding out in their world that is well, you've ruined it for me. You've ruined what I had. So therefore you've hurt me now.
So now I'm going to punish you.
Yes, and now I'm going to punish you. And
Yeah.
it's totally off, like it doesn't make sense. But in their world, it would make sense because actually they were getting away with whatever they were getting away with. Sometimes years, sometimes only a month, sometimes only a week, but sometimes it's months and years. And it's a long time for somebody to have another life, another, section, branch of their life in this sort of secret world. And then when someone comes in and ruins that, and that is in air quotes, because actually you're not ruining that. That person is not ruining that. You've just found out.
Yeah.
But in their world, you've ruined it. You've ruined my little peaceful or enjoyment or exciting.
I mean, realistically, if I hadn't looked at that phone bill, I really don't know how that would have ever have ended. I don't know how. I mean, you can't predict the future. I wouldn't know how it would have gone. But so yeah, he moved out with this woman, and from the moment he moved out, I then decided that for my own self-preservation, that I was going to have zero communication with him, because
Was that hard?
no, it wasn't hard, because I was so destroyed that I didn't want to hear anything about it. I almost wanted to be in my own bubble as if
It had never happened.
it had never happened. So I blocked him on my phone so that he couldn't contact me. And then he went and started stalking me.
Great.
So it was like, it was never ending. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And then it was like, why are you still trying to contact me? He would phone me at work. He would wait for me outside of work because I wouldn't communicate with him.
Yeah.
That riled him even more. He's like, why is she not communicating with me? I want to communicate with her, but she's like, I was shut down. I was like, nah, that's it. The shop is shut. I had no more to give. I had nothing emotionally to give to him at all. And then he started ringing my parents.
Wow.
And this went on for a good, I would say, 3 months. And the only way that this ended was because my mum was like, he really just wants to talk to you.
So you did.
So I was like, do you know what? This has to end. You can't be bombarding and bothering everybody. You can't be ringing my boss at work, It was just ridiculous. So I met up with him to have a conversation, because at the end of the day, a conversation needed to be had, because if it was going to end, we would have needed to have had a conversation. And I sat with him and had a conversation with him, and he was absolutely inconsolable.
Wow.
Like, absolutely.
Was it the sorry?
Broken. Yeah. He was absolutely broken. Like, I'd never ever seen him like that, ever.
And how did you deal with that? Because I think that's the point.
I was happy. I was fucking happy that he felt like shit.
Yeah.
I can't pretend that I was like, oh, come hither. I was, again, poking the fucking bear. I was like, no, you've done this. You really need to feel like shit. You've destroyed this. This is this is your fault.
I think that really shows there's a part of you that has a huge amount of self-worth there and knows what you are, what you deserve. Whereas a lot of people, when they're presented with a man that's basically crippled, they're just emotionally gone. A lot of women crumble, and a lot of women can't bear to see that, and that's when they go back.
This is a few months down the line, and I had composed myself enough and to realise that I'm not going to tolerate behaviour like that in my life. If I'm married to somebody or in a long-term relationship with somebody, I am a committed individual. That's kind of like where I am. If we're having a discussion and we're saying that we are committed, then we are committed. But he was absolutely broken. And he asked to keep in contact with me, and he went and he had counselling, and he had proper counselling. I ended up having a therapy session as well, but to be honest with you, I really don't think it did any good. Not at all.
No.
Because it was just me reiterating what I'd already reiterated to my friends a million times over. But he obviously wanted to find the root cause of his behaviour, which was a big thing. But that was part of his desperation to show me that he still loved me, and that he desperately wanted us
To work.
to work. So although I appreciated that, there are always lots of layers to everybody. I mean, some people are opportunists, but there are a lot of layers and reasons as to why we behave the way we behave. We've known each other a long time, and it was also like losing my friend because he was my friend. And we shared a lot of our younger years together. So, I found that quite difficult, that complete separation, because there were things that would happen. I'd be like, oh God, I'd love to tell him. And I just couldn't.
Do you think that was because the trust had been broken? I mean, obviously, I understand that because of what happened, but sometimes you can still have that kind of friendship there.
I think if we hadn't have been such good friends to each other, that I would have never have even thought about being with him.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't. Obviously, I lost a lot of weight because that's what you fucking do and all the rest of it. Oh, I've got to add in. I forgot to add in that I had found out that he'd actually sent this girl that he was seeing to my hairdresser, who is now a very wonderful long-term friend of mine, to ask her specifically to have her hair done like mine.
Wow.
And I was like, what the actual fuck?
It's a little bit creepy.
So you don't want me, you want her, but you want her to be me.
Wow.
It's like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah.
What kind of fucked up shit is that? That's some... And for her to go, okay, what fucked up shit is that? It's just bizarre. But anyway, yeah, we did get back together eventually, and we were married for another 4 years afterwards.
Wow, okay.
And I think if you are going to be in that position where you feel that you can trust that individual again and you want to make a go of it, I think you need to only listen to yourself, because everybody will have an opinion. And whenever you talk about infidelity, every woman ever and every man ever, actually I think it's different for women. I really do. The women go, no, I'd never go back. I'd never take him back. I'd never do that. And when it actually happens to them, there is always a question mark.
Absolutely. And again, it's not just a case of walking away. If you've got children, financial commitments, married, it's not as easy as just walking away. And I think it's really important to emphasize that whatever the decision you make, it's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's the decision that is working for you.
It's right for you. At that time. And you're not seen as weak.
No.
If you want to go back to that relationship.
And those that see you as weak aren't seeing or experiencing what you are seeing and experiencing.
Nobody knows what's going on behind closed doors. Definitely. And I know from my perspective, after doing the work with him, is that our communication was fucking shit.
Yeah.
It was so shit. And that if I had known that he was feeling insecure, when he was feeling insecure, if he had communicated that with me.
Let's just make a point here also of saying this is not an excuse. So for you to notice that he was feeling insecure as a result of the therapy that you'd done or he'd done or whatever, or the conversations over a long period of time that you'd had before you got back together, you found out all of this stuff. That's great. It's information and you can process that information. It's not an excuse for the behaviour. But the behaviour happened as a result of their world that they're in and what they've created and what they think. But it's not an excuse. So it's not making it, we're not making it okay. But I think it's really important to think about get nitty gritty and curious and absolutely truthful with the relationship as it is. Because if many people, like you said just a minute ago, many people, once this happens, they go, oh yeah, no, actually we weren't great, or something was going on.
Something was missing there. What was going on?
Something comes up. So it's important to kind of not make an excuse for that behaviour, but also kind of take responsibility for going, actually, I did see it and I didn't say anything. Doesn't make you wrong either, but actually, can you take that into a new relationship and make sure that there is a little bit of a depth to communication?
I think to a degree, when this stuff happens, I mean, there's always somebody who is the instigator.
Yeah.
But I very much believe that it does take both of you for something to go wrong. I
agree.
don't think it's solely the instigator. I think, you know, everybody has a choice at the end of the day whether you do something or not. You have a fucking choice.
Yeah.
So yes, the fault and the blame lays primarily with one, but there is always a reason that that individual is actively seeking somebody else.
That's really interesting, because I had an experience in a relationship where I said, I'm actually thinking about cheating. And I know that sounds crazy, but that was, I guess, I've always considered myself an okay communicator. I've got better over the years and as I've got older. And relationships mean the world to me. And when I'm in a relationship, I'm really in it.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where it just didn't fit. Something was off. And it was like, well, actually, I don't want to just walk away from this. So let's figure out what's going on. And then I had these thoughts and I was like, actually, I want to say something. Because when I haven't done anything, but that thought was there. So I mentioned it and actually nothing changed. And that was, that to me was like, okay, well, this is over.
That's done.
Because
what was his reaction to that when you said that? Do you remember?
yeah, he...
That's a big thing to receive, isn't it?
It's
That's a fucking
huge,
big thing.
But I think the bottom line is that the reason I was thinking that is because he was probably feeling detached anyway.
Yeah.
Like something was no longer working. There was a connection that was no longer there. And I don't think he was necessarily surprised, but I think there was a little shock, but not enough for him to
Maybe
go,
just the shock that you'd actually verbalise
Yeah.
what you were thinking.
yeah, but there's a good chance he was as well, because there was no change. Whereas I know that with my current relationship, if my partner said, I'm thinking about, you know, that something doesn't feel right, and I've been thinking about, like, you know, other relationships, I'd be devastated. And I'd be like, whoa,
What the fuck?
What's
How
going
can
on?
we fix this? What's going on?
Let's
absolutely.
figure this
because
out.
that's what, you know, that's what proper love is, isn't
Yeah.
it? Is receiving information and being able to
Yeah.
work together to try and, you know, to change things. I just fell out of love with him. And I think it was because that was fundamentally broken. Even though I did trust him. And don't get me wrong, don't go back to somebody who you can't trust. Just don't. If you can work through things and you cannot go back into a relationship and constantly pummel them with the same problem. So, you know, I can't constantly say, oh God, well, you did that to me. Well, you cheated on me all those years ago. Well, you cheated on me then. Well, you cheated on me. I can't continually punish.
Not-
I have to.
It's not a relationship, is it?
It's not. You either, if you're saying you're forgiving somebody, you're fucking forgiving somebody. You do not forget. And that's the difference.
Yeah.
And he used to still go out and stuff and obviously go away for work and everything. And I truly...
You believed
trusted
him and trusted him. Yeah.
Truly trusted him.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because I also think that he had taken me for granted and this experience gave him perspective. But at the end of it, I fell out of love with him because there was something fundamentally that had broken for me. But do you know what? It was easier for me to walk away because I didn't love him anymore. So I didn't have that pain of having somebody hurt you, but you still desperately love them. Because when someone cheats on you, you don't stop loving them. It doesn't just end, does it? You're still in love with somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, you know, there are relationships that can really almost benefit from these situations and that people can really grow from. Because I honestly think, you know, there are going to be people out there that are experiencing this and they're going to be thinking, right, well, what, so I've just got to hang on in there until I fall out of love with them. And that is not the case. If you want to make it work and you feel that you can trust, I think you have to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few bullet points, isn't there, for me? There's check in with yourself. What do you want? So is this a way for you to end the relationship? Because actually it's been something that you've been thinking about.
Yeah.
Is it a great time for you to really channel into yourself and do some inner work and especially for you to not take on the blame of this? Because it's very common that men say, oh, I did it because you haven't given me this, or you didn't do this, or you're rah-de-rah-de-rah. So really good time for you to check in with yourself and do the work and know that it's not because of you that this happened.
I've found from my experience with talking with other people that have been through infidelity as well, and my own experience, it's not personal. No. It's never personal. It's always selfish. The person who is doing the deceit it's always about them, and it's always about their ego and their world and how it makes them feel about themselves. It's never ever about their partner.
And quite often it's to do with, it's not even necessarily the actual affair. Quite often it's to do with knowing that they can and they still could. So it's like, well, I can still get that girl or that boy if I can. So it's almost the little
the ego,
boy,
isn't it?
Yeah, or the damaged, hurt, wounded little child inside of them saying, I need to know I can still have this. Or
it's the woman who's never felt like she's enough and constantly needs validation.
yeah.
It's so complex.
The bottom line is definitely going with your intuition, checking. It's still a good opportunity to look at the relationship as a whole. And although it's not personal towards you, there's definitely something within the relationship that could be worked on, that there could be cracks there. And there actually might not be. It might literally just be the other person that really does need to go and do some work,
fuck off, and you need to leave, because that's your other option. It's just to leave and just get the hell out of there.
I think as well, I think it's a good opportunity now to mention, if you are continuously cheated on in one relationship, so they are literally just going through multiple partners whilst they're with you,
get the fuck out.
There is absolutely no excuse. That's actually, that it's almost like an addiction. So when we need something, it's to fulfill something that is wounded within us, and that is what that behavior is doing for that person. But on a side note, if you continue to get in relationships that you are cheated on,
you need to have a look at yourself,
and really check in with yourself and go and find out, because what's happening is that you're drawing in, you're energetically drawn towards people that are likely to behave like that have that part of them that is wounded and needs to go and have that affair. And that's not a blame on that person who keeps drawing that energy in, but that's a great excuse now to go and just check in with yourself and actually go, whoa, I'm done with it.
If you're constantly drawn towards people that are cheating, it might actually be because you're a commitment phobe. And that you are actively drawing people to you who are always going to leave you, so that you never really have to deeply get hurt, because you're never really committed.
And they aren't either. And there's absolutely no right or wrong answer to any of this. It is such a personal journey, and it's an opportunity for you to see what's in this for you. Because anything that creates such hardship, pain, devastation, chaos in our life will bring us something.
I want to sort of just gently touch on the fact that just because somebody has hurt you, and just because you have experienced something like this, does not mean that the next relationship that you are going to go into, you're going to experience the same thing, because every individual is different. I'm married now. I've been with my husband for 12 years. We have 2 children. That experience for me did not tarnish my future relationships. I certainly think to a degree for my self-love and how I felt about myself physically changed, as in I still sort of felt very, very insecure about the way that I looked, and carried that into other relationships. But I never for a second thought that any of those partners were going to cheat on me. So you need to make sure that you leave it at the door when you go into a new relationship, that those things are left at the door, because you could end up spoiling something really fantastic for your own insecurity.
Yeah, that's a really valid point, and I love that, because that's exactly what I did as well, because obviously I've been through that as well, and I know that when I then started a new relationship, there wasn't an ounce of me that doubted them.
Yeah.
And I really, don't get me wrong, there were waves of jealousy, but to me, jealousy is not a poison unless it's held on to and used and acted on. A wave of jealousy is showing you that you care deeply about that person, but just to kind of breathe and take a moment and check in, not act upon that and start frantically doing whatever you need to do.
And driving yourself nuts.
But that wave of jealousy comes in. But actually, there was absolutely no point that I questioned a partner after that. And I think I think that's really, really important, because so many women, well, so many people actually, men and women, we go into relationships and go, well, yeah, well, that, you know, I was cheated on in my last relationship, or this person did this in my last relationship. And what we're doing is we're literally saying that everyone's the same.
Yeah.
So if everyone's the same, you're never going to find your one.
To present that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
certainly not a conversation that I had with my husband when we met. I didn't say to him, I mean, obviously after a few dates, I said, look, I have been married before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, a bit of history, obviously.
Yeah. People will only bring that up if they're still angry about it.
Yeah, and they need that kind of reassurance from the other person that they're not going to do it. And this is where we get totally bogged down, because what we do is we chase something to reassure us that something else isn't going to happen, but we can never know that.
No, so you can't. You can never know. If he's going to cheat on you,
he's going to cheat. He doesn't
need
to go away and do that. He really doesn't need to go away.
It's quite easy for him to do it with someone down the fucking road.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that if someone does, it's like any behaviour, but if someone does the behaviour that you don't want them to do, then they've given you the answer.
It's them.
Yeah,
and it's not you. And it's not fucking personal. It's all their own shit.
Yeah.
Just deal with your own fucking shit.
Let them walk into their own chaos and disaster and whatever, disruption. Let them, let them do that, because actually that gives us so many of the answers. Yeah. Like creating distance. I love what you did when you created distance with your ex-husband and yourself for a little while, with that 3-month kind of mental break, and then you stepped in slowly. Yeah. And that distance is really important.
I was just so fucked up. I was absolutely fucked up emotionally. I just did not have the capacity to give to anyone anything. And I was like, right, I have to figure out what I need.
But I think that is a great opportunity for you to do that, but also for them to show their behaviour then in that moment shows you where they're at.
Yeah.
So if they're gonna keep trying, healthy trying, not stalking and making it dangerous. But if they keep trying and they're patient and they're sticking around and they're doing the things,
patience proves.
Exactly. If someone the week after you've stopped speaking to them is back out or is on Tinder or whatever else is out there, then you've got your answer.
They're a dick. Just fuck them off.
You've got your answer. Exactly that.
And you don't have to tolerate bad behaviour.
No.
You do not have to tolerate bad behaviour.
Yeah.
There is no fucking rule book that says yes, you must. And if you take somebody back, you're not a fucking mug.
That's a good point, that you're not a fucking mug if you go back. If you keep going back, then there's something within you that is wounded enough to feel like you deserve that sort of behaviour. And that's
a whole another killer fish.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
For anybody that is going through this currently, you need to get to the root cause as to why it happened in the first place.
And the root cause is very hard to find on your own, and it's definitely most likely not going to be what the other person is saying it's going to be. Yeah. So the root cause isn't somebody else saying, well, you didn't give me enough affection, you weren't there for me emotionally, you weren't this, you weren't that. That's not necessarily the root cause if someone else is telling you that is the reason why. The root cause is often found when you're sat in a therapy session or you're reading one of those, self-help books or something like that, because you're getting to know yourself on a deeper level, and that's exactly what they need to do as well. It's like you're building yourself.
Yeah.
It's like all of these things that happen bring us so many gifts that we can use for ourselves to then be this person that we want to be in our
Jodie, I would not be a good wife. I would not be a mediocre mother. I would not I would not be a good friend.
Yeah.
I would not have the empathy and the understanding to be able to help other people who are going through similar situations that I have. If I hadn't have had those experiences, it just wouldn't exist. And I would never have met Steve. I would never have had the kids. They wouldn't exist in my life if that relationship and that infidelity hadn't happened when it happened.
And it's turning that pain into power.
Yeah,
turning that pain into like self-respect, knowledge, accessing that empowerment within us to then go on and, like you say, have this wonderful marriage and the children. And when I say wonderful, it's not always hunky-dory, like everyone knows that, but Yeah, as a whole, it's,
Yeah.
it is wholesome, and that's because you are. That's because
But it's
he is.
also, God forbid anything ever happened like that to me
Yeah.
again.
You'll survive.
I would be okay. Hang on, I've got a couple more bumpy rides, but they're not as bumpy as this fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know, great things are going to come for you.
I think if you didn't go to that depth of pain, then you wouldn't
I wouldn't have
appreciate that
known
depth
it,
of
no.
not being in pain.
Yeah.
And there's like so much appreciation that grows from it. It's like,
But you might not see it now.
Yeah.
If you're going through it now, you will not see
And
it
you're
now.
not
I
expected
promise
to
you
see
won't
it.
now, but I can guarantee you, whether it be days, weeks, months, years down the line, you will be grateful for it. I'll
Yeah.
tell you now, you will be absolutely grateful for it, because it will bring you a gift.
Thanks for listening to the Shit Appreciation Podcast. Until next time,
Don't cheat.
don't cheat.
Happy?
Yeah.